G'day and welcome to the Inforunners. I'm Execute, joined today by Algared. How you doing, mate?
Fairly well. Fairly well.
We've got a bit of
Well,
8-bit, little bit of 8-bit Algared at the moment. He's lagging because he's got the game open, but that's all right. So we'll
on my end, it's 4D Al.
totally fine.
But
yeah. All right, we'll kick it over to the browser then, or not the browser, to the game then. Is this going to
HDL,
load? It's going to load. Yes, it loaded. All right, cool. There we go. Right. So we're going to talk about the F7C Mark II. Yeah, we're going to refer to it from now on as the Mark II because it's too much of a mouthful. So we're going to Aussie it and slang it and shorten it, and just call it the Mark II. So initial thoughts, Algared. I'm a big fan of the blue. What about you?
Yeah, I did try the other skins and I ended up going back to the blue anyway.
Mm-hmm.
I do like the tapered nose. It's less boxy and yet it's still boxy, so it's quite nice in that regard.
Yeah, they've definitely pulled off a real cross between a retro and modern look really, really well.
Yeah, it was one thing you said. I love the way it's got this 70s retro look, but it's modern. And it's right. It's got 2 size 4s. The big thing I did notice is that in terms of its missiles, Mark 1 has 4 size 2s. This has 8 size 1s. So they've changed the missile racks on this one. I'm not sure whether that's necessarily a good thing or a bad thing. And I haven't tried changing those racks and seeing what I can do, but I'm assuming
I'm a big fan of this logo too, this F7. Yep. I really like it, and it's kind of like an upside down A for Anvil, or F7A, I guess, as well. But yeah. The other thing we need to look at while I'm here is the cargo box. Well, it didn't load on this one again either, Algared. We've been having trouble with Algared's loading the cargo, so yeah, but there's meant to be a cargo box up there.
We claimed it, and it still didn't.
Yeah.
Put it with the cargo box, but
yeah, so long story short, I've done a bit of gameplay with this with Pissed Off Pete and PC 101, and you are actually able to get the cargo in there. You can also lie down in there and actually be transported in there as well. Obviously, without the cargo in the future, that would be reliant on how much oxygen is in your suit and stuff like that, but it would be possible in a pinch. It automatically has hard points that are not utilized, so there is actually a size 3 here. You can, in essence, well, I think the main difference between this and the F7A that's coming, so if I actually just cut out for a second and swap it over to this, right, that's not the wrong thing. We're looking for things for Algared, my bad. Right, so we have the F7C Hornet. The main difference between this and the F7C and the F7A, it literally, like if you don't count the guns, right, just strip the guns off because they can obviously be brought in game, is it comes down to the power plant. So you've got 2 size 1s on the C, and you're essentially getting 1 size 2. So that is an upgrade in my book, Algared. What about you?
Yeah, because in the past they've said 3 size 1s is equivalent to 1 size 2. So
yeah,
even though you've got that redundancy of 2 power plants, the size 2 power plant is a more powerful power plant, so it's going to put out more power. The other thing is that the F7C Mark II, or the Mark II, in terms of loadout, it's basically the F7C. The difference is those 2 size 4 mounts on the Mark II, whereas the Mark I just has size 3s. Everything else is basically the same. You can put the ball turret in, you can put the chin mount on. It's a size 3 on both ships. So you can put a size 3 mount on the nose, or you can put that chin mount.
So kind of like what I've done here. So this is fundamentally, you can use all the stuff that's in the game right now and almost turn it into the F7A. It's really that power plant that is the big difference between the two. So yeah, you know, like I've got a size 3 on here. You can buy the chin mount in game right now. You can buy the ball turret in game right now. There's even a ball turret on the Super Hornet that allows you to put a single size 5 on. Now, eventually, I'm assuming that'll be in game available at some point.
Well, you used to be able to buy it in game.
Yeah,
much
like the cargo box as well, because then you could put that onto other variants and stuff like that as well. But yeah.
So the reason my F7's my Mark II doesn't have the cargo mount. As I was actually playing around with them, swapping things around, you actually can't put the cargo box back once you've taken it off. It's just not an option.
Yeah.
So I tried destroying the ship and reclaiming it, but that didn't work. So, alas.
It flies better. It is lighter. It is more aerodynamic than the original. It looks better in every single way, but the core tenet is still the same. It is a fighter. And I'll probably add this caveat as well. It's probably one of the best fighters in the game, to the point that if I ever was going to get a fighter, like actually buy one, it'll probably be the Super Hornet Mark II variant, if and when that eventually comes out.
Now, one thing I did find when I was coming out of Lawville and just doing a straight vertical rise is that the thrusters did tend to pitch the nose up. So if you're just doing a straight vertical rise, my experience was that the nose just pitches up. That'll probably get balanced at some point, or it's just a matter of you just pitch and thrust out.
You mentioned the thrusters. The other day when I was riding in the back of the cargo area, I was actually had a really cool view of the actual thrusters working, and it just looked absolutely awesome seeing these. They're almost like little baby slugs in a shell. It's hard to explain, but they kind of like rock backwards and forwards and rotate, and it just looked phenomenally awesome. Their thrusters are not just this visual fire flare; they actually rotate and move, and it's really cool.
So they're not fixed thrusters; they're
yeah,
the upper ones. So which is good, and that means if one of those thrusters gets knocked out, what'll happen is the other thrusters will shift to actually compensate. Whereas with a fixed thruster, when it's knocked out, it's harder for the ship to compensate for that.
It does take a little longer to come up to spool speed, especially on like OEMs, not so much. But if you're spooling like between planets, it takes a while now. Now I don't know if that's just this Hornet or it's like across the board.
It does have it doesn't have the top components.
So here you go. See if I can get a good view here. And give me a second. I'm just trying to get in place. It's gonna be a bit hard. I don't know if our heads are in the way. Oh no, we're clear. All right. So, well, yeah, it's not giving the best angle
because those gimbal thrusters going there.
Yeah, there you go. There's a good one. So that's just me A and D'ing left and right. And then if you go backwards, that's backwards and forwards. Oh, no, it doesn't like rolling. Camera goes all weird. But yeah, it's just kind of cool how they move. It's just so much more dynamic than anything else I've seen before. But the ones I was seeing were actually, like, they were rotating as well. But obviously I've probably got to do some kind of diagonal thing to get that to work. But
that's the thing. That's the difference between the gimbal thrusters and the fixed thrusters. These are gimbaled, so they will actually shift and move. And that gives a lot more stability to a ship. If one of those gets blown out, the ship does compensate to give a lot more maneuverability.
Yeah.
If they were fixed, then you lose a lot more of your flight capability with that ship.
Yeah.
The other thing I did like about the Mark II was the fact that as you accelerate, you actually hear the engines whir up in the background, and when you cut power, you actually hear the engines whir down. And I did like that sound.
Yeah, it's definitely showing that it's a ship that's had a lot of work done on it for Squadron, more than likely, which is why it's so polished. That said, though, like, again, it is a fighter at the end of the day. Anyone that's like watched our channel for any length of time is already going to know what we're going to say, essentially. I really like it, though. Like, I really do. I just can't justify a $50 upgrade over the other one. I don't know, Algared, what's your kind of take on it?
A $50 upgrade for 2 size 4 mounts? No, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I do. The one I have is a loaner. I don't have the ship yet. I don't know whether I will get the ship. Well, I'll end up getting the ship when I do. By one of the upgrade pack type things, but yeah.
Yeah, so it's pretty much the same as what we always say. That said, we'll do another video on this at some point, but I'm pretty sure that they're going to bring the other ones out as well. So we'll eventually see the Ghost, the Hornet. The Ghost, the Tracker, and the Super Hornet.
Yeah, and I would expect the Super Hornet to come out because the Super Hornet is supposed to be the F7C M, which is the Super Hornet. That's the closest in the civilian that we get to the military variant. Now, how that's different, I don't know. Does it mean we'll get a bigger power plant, but 2 people? I just don't know.
Yeah.
They may decide, no, we don't need that. But I do hope we see the other variants down the track as well.
I really think being at the, like they say it's Earth. What's the word they use? They don't call it a superiority fighter, but they're kind of like it's got its most number of kills or whatever. I can't remember the wordage they use, but essentially, like a medium fighter is probably going to be the most versatile sweet spot because it can kind of go down and tangle with light fighters like the Arrow and Gladius, but it can go up and it also tangle with the heavier fighters like the F8 and the Hurricane and the things up there as well. So it's in this sweet spot where it's going to be the most versatile for most situations, especially the Super Hornet, because you can put a second person in it, which just makes it even more versatile again. So yeah, it might be a little bit heavier because it's got that second seat there, but there might be no one in it when you're flying it solo. But just having that ability to go between the two will be awesome, especially if you're talking real world dollars, because obviously if you're in game and you can earn them through grinding, you'll have a single seat one for yourself and a double one, right? But if you're physically paying the real money, you're going to want one that matches what you're paying.
Gives you the most versatility.
Yeah.
And even game wise, I could see a rationale for having that second seat because it gives you your trainership. So it's the one you train your pilots on because you've got your master pilot and your teacher and your students. So I can even see grounds for that. Well,
yeah. My big takeaway from this is it just shows you how that, like, it gets me excited for other ships coming through the ship pipeline and stuff like that. But if it's a ship for you, you go buy it. I'm not going to ever tell anyone that they can't do anything with their money or stop them or that. But for me, at the price point that it's at, and if you have to kind of look at the Super Hornet and then add $50, it goes into the territory of you are much better to get something like, say, a Corsair or a Connie or a Star Runner at that price.
If I'm adding an extra $50, which is that's taken at what, 175?
Yeah.
That is moving into Connie range. Now a Taurus is what, 190?
Yeah.
That's got half a firepower of a Taurus.
Yep.
And
none of the utility.
And none of the utility.
And I can already hear a detractor going, but it doesn't need as much crew.
Yeah.
Again, the way this game is going, it's pushing you towards to try and play with other people. There are massive benefits to playing with other people. We know there are systems in place to get people together. You can put AI on. There is just no reason anymore to take a solo ship over a multi-crew when they're the same price.
Or comparable prices. And
actually, there's one. There's one. If you prefer the gameplay, I think that would be the only one I can think of. Yeah.
But they used to talk about in terms of price. A Connie was 2.5 times. A Connie Andromeda was 2.5 times the price of an F7C Mark 1. And so it used to be said, a Connie could fight 3 F7Cs and win 50% of the time because of that price difference. I'm not sure how that'd go now, but certainly the ship at $20 less than a Taurus and having half a firepower before you put the ball turret and the chin mount on. Yeah, I don't know.
I think it's a part of the low end, like the small ships just being so utterly packed now that they've kind of run out of space to spread them out, that they're now spreading into the the medium large tier.
But I think that's a problem. I do think that's a problem. But $50 for 2 size 4 mounts.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that is good value.
Yeah. This will be in Squadron. You'll be able to essentially Squadron's going the rep grind for the UEE, so you'll eventually be able to grind it out and buy these in game anyway. So if you are buying it now, you're essentially early accessing yourself to getting it a year or two early. It depends when Squadron drops, right? So Squadron will drop, and then there'll be some kind of hookup with Star Citizen, and you'll be able to essentially buy these in game. So yeah.
And look, full disclosure, I will probably end up buying it. Is it worth it though? Probably not. So,
but he's crazy Algared.
I'm crazy out. So, yeah. But on that note,
what would you like to hear from people in the comments below about the Mark
have
II?
we missed anything?
Yeah.
Do you like this ship? Do you think it's worth it? Why do you think it's worth it? What does it bring for you? What doesn't it bring for you?
And I think for me, I would say, I don't know how to say this. Just do you ever get drawn in by the hype? Because there's a lot of hype around these ships when they drop, and people get sucked in and they buy them, and then I see people melting them the next week. I saw it with every ship under the sun at this point.
Every ship. Every ship like that.
So for me, it is a real draw card for me to buy this because I really like it. But I like my common sense makes me stand back, and things Algared says and things the other Inforunners say and other people that we hang out with, like it is just not good value, right? And knowing that I can earn it in game, I just be patient and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I'm very thankful CIG loans us these ships to try so we can review them for you, because I can kind of staple the hype. And man, if I was a real hypey person, Algared, I would literally think getting a subscription would be the way to go, because then you can literally try these ships and not have to worry about the FOMO.
I think you're lucky. I think you're lucky this doesn't have a killer skin. If this had a killer skin, I know you'd buy it, or at least buy the skin.
I'd buy the skin. I have brought the skin. That one that was in game. The wait, if I flip it back over, it's still there. This button. That is the concierge skin. And I brought a bunch of them, and I bought them in a buyback, and it's a great way to do it, because if I ever, I'll keep one, and then if there's other people that want, I can unmelt them, and it just removes that limited ability. And I'd be saying the same thing to anyone. If there's a skin that you want and they list it as limited, buy it, melt in a buyback, and it just gives you the option to buy it for cash at a later date. So yeah.
Yep.
All right. With that then, don't forget to like, subscribe, ring that notification bell, set it to whatever level of notifications you want. And thank you to everyone that went that extra mile at the end of the video on Patreon. He's been Algared.
Appreciated, never required. And that's Execute. And we're out of here.
See you, citizens.